Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paladin Dance, and today I'll be going over the new Season 2 patch 9.1 affix. Prideful was an overall good affix in my opinion that provided a good touch of Kiss Curse, and that theme continues in this season. If you would like to help out the channel, commenting or leaving a like really helps with the algorithm and getting the channel discovered. With all that said, let's take a look at the new affix, Tormented. The new affix sees Prideful Shade replaced with 4 lieutenants spread across each dungeon. Each lieutenant has different abilities, and upon death they will drop an anima orb, much like in Torghast. Each anima orb will contain 3 abilities to choose from, with each lieutenant having different abilities. The abilities will vary between roles, in other words tank, healer, and DPS abilities. However, they do not vary from spec to spec. In addition, the 3 abilities that each lieutenant drops do not change. That is to say, when you kill Oros, for example, he will drop the same 3 abilities every time, in every dungeon, every day, and every week, at least so far on PTR. This is good because you won't have a run die due to getting subpar anima powers, while in another run you steamroll through because you get god tier powers. The lieutenants are pullable through mobs, so you can pull them through trash and they will not aggro surrounding mobs. They also have true sight and are usually set in good places throughout the dungeons, meaning that usually you don't have to go out of your way to kill them. If a group leaves a lieutenant alive and moves on to the final boss, for every lieutenant left alive, each will apply an aura to the group. For example, the Frost Mage dude leaves your team with a 50% move speed debuff. This means that in 99.9% of groups, you'll want to kill all of the lieutenants before heading to the final boss. In high and plus groups, there may be some skips when the season progresses to higher keys, but for the most part you'll want to stick to killing all the lieutenants before you finish the dungeon. Since you can freely kill lieutenants, and it's not dependent on percent like the Prideful Shades were, groups are incentivized to kill as many lieutenants as possible as soon as possible in order to attain as many buffs as possible before progressing through the dungeon. In the other side, for example, there are 3 lieutenants in the main circle before going into any of the 3 wings. Lust timing will have to be accounted for, but it will behoove a group to kill as many lieutenants as possible before progressing throughout a dungeon. Now I'll briefly go over the 4 lieutenants and their abilities, starting with Oros Coldheart. Oros' aura is Chilling Presence, which reduces the move speed of all players by 50%. Again, these auras are what will be applied to the final boss if you do not kill the lieutenant in the dungeon. Oros also has Biting Cold, a debuff that he applies to a single player, which does damage over time and to anyone around them. Frostlance is a frontal cone ability that can be dodged, similar to Jaina from Desire Lore, and he now also has Cold Snap, which are a ton of swirlies on the ground which you have to dodge. Executioner Varut's aura is Thanatophobia, and it reduces healing received by all players by 50%. He has Sever, which deals high physical damage to a tank and leaves a bleed on them. He has Carnage, which deals high physical damage to a target and the nearby allies, leaving a bleed on them. And finally he has Wave of Terror, which deals AoE damage and fears any players not standing on top of an ally. Sogadon the Breaker has the aura Intimidation, which increases physical damage taken by all players by 50%. He has Crush, which is a tank buster, Seismic Slam, which deals AoE damage, and Massive Smash. Now Massive Smash will grip all players into the melee range of the mob and root them with Bindings of Misery. Then he'll start casting Massive Smash. So in order to break free from the bindings before getting out of the Massive Smash, you simply have to kill them or use a root breaking ability. Incinerator Arcolath's aura is Soul Forge Flames, which inflicts fire damage over time while in combat with him. He has Scorching Blast, which is a void zone that leaves a patch of fire on the floor, Melt Soul, which is a dispellable magic debuff, and Inferno, which is an AoE that hits all players but is interruptible. Now that wraps up the overview for the new affix. I think that overall the new affix will be very fun. Running around with a ton of anima powers in a dungeon is very fun, at least from the testing I've done in PTR. And I think that the new freedom of not having to do 20% prideful, 20% prideful, and having to time that with bosses or big trash pulls is going to be refreshing, because groups will now be able to progress through dungeons in more varied ways. So you won't be forced to do certain trash percentage pulls. It won't be as punishing. It will be a more relaxed affix overall, I think, than prideful it was, and so far it's been more fun just because you get to use all these different abilities. And that's it for today. If you liked the video and you made it this far, consider subscribing, and I will catch you all in the next one.